Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the beginning of the Albany County celebration of African American History Month. It's something that the county executive, when he became county executive 2 years ago, said that it wasn't just going to be one day any longer. It was going to be a celebration that would last the entire month of February. And we have a number of events that are coming up that will be something that I think everybody will enjoy. And we'll let everybody know about those events as the time goes on. First of all, I want to recognize some of our friends that are here, especially from the African American community. We have a brand new councilman. Councilman Mark Robinson is with us. Here you go. We have another brand new councilman from the African American community who was a very well respected police officer. Councilman Kelly Kimbrough is here. We have two of our county legislators, Bill Clay, County Legislator Norma Chapman. One is on his way, and that will be County Legislator Merton Simpson, and County Legislator Lucy McKnight is at the New York State Association of Counties convention up at the Desmond. She is a former president of that organization, so that's where Lucy is. And we also have our great majority leader of the Albany County Legislature, Frank Camisso, is with us. And after, 20 years or 25 years, we have a new county clerk. County Clerk Bruce Hidley is with us. So we want to thank everybody for being here today. I will read a proclamation from the County of Albany, New York office of the County Executive, Daniel McCoy, in recognition of National African American History Month 2014. Whereas on this day and throughout this month we share a dream that lives in the hearts of our founding fathers, that no matter who you are, no matter what you look like, that no matter how modest your beginnings or the circumstances of your birth, you can make it if you try. And whereas during African American History Month we take time to tell those stories of freedom won and honor those individuals who wrote them. And whereas the impact that African Americans have made to the people of Albany County and the fabric of its soul can be seen in and felt in every segment of our community. And whereas today, Dr. King, President Lincoln, and others who helped shape our American story proudly watch over our nation, shoulder to shoulder, they stood with ordinary people who burned and hoped for a brighter day. The struggle that they forged is simply an American dream, and that dream continues today, for the struggle is not over. And whereas through the Albany County Office of Affirmative Action, we strive to make our workforce look like the face of our community, bringing diversity to the ranks of our staff. And whereas we in Albany County embrace the changes that have been made over the past decades to promote the equality and togetherness that was so longed for in the civil rights movement, both then and now. Therefore, I do hereby proclaim that we honor and promote National African American History Month and call upon the residents of Albany County to join with me in recognizing the proud tradition of our African American brothers and sisters. And that is signed the 3rd day of February 2014 by Daniel P. McCoy, Albany County Executive. Could we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. And now I would like to introduce to you a gentleman who has made diversity a cornerstone of his administration. Please welcome our County Executive, Daniel McCoy.
How's everyone doing today? Come on. I look a little skinnier on the thing, all right? Suck the chin in, shrink the nose. You know, I want to start off on a good note here, but our Lieutenant Governor, 1976, made a bad mistake. Another gentleman in this body that I'm looking at made the same mistake, 1992. was it, Kenny? Joined the Albany PD? Is that when you took the exam? They both took the Albany police officers exam, or cops, became cops. They should have became firemen, but we won't hold that against either one of them. So we made mistakes. You made them as police. Now you're with us on this side, so it's good. But, you know, you look at dates, and I really like to look at them, and I think of April 4th, 1968, you know, and it's an important date in our history. Can anyone explain to me why? Come on. All right, I'm not going to put anyone on the spot. Martin Luther King was shot that day, and they thought they would stop the movement April 4th of 1968, and they didn't. It continued on. The movement continued on. And, you know, I'd like to talk about his legacy, but I want to talk about some other people because, you know, you have Nelson Mandela, too. Great leader, great visionary. Look what he did in Africa. But there's always people ahead of them or during that time that also were leaders that have been overlooked in history. The normal, I don't want to say normal people, but the people maybe not elevated to that type of light, but had a lot to do with the movement. My 12 years in the legislature, I can tell you this. I remember when we used to appoint commissioners. And I remember this one gentleman who, his face said it all. And it used to just tear me apart inside. And it was Bill Clay. And I would watch Bill Clay get up on the floor and he said, I'm supportive of this person, they're qualified for the job, but when are we gonna get some diversity? And he'd say it every time, but I could just see in his face the history, you know, what he's seen growing up. And I don't want to date you, Phil, or Bill, so I'm not going to. But, you know, he's seen a lot. What's going around in America, the good, the bad, the ugly. But yet he, as a gentleman, every time on the floor would just rise quietly, make a statement, and sit down. And I told Bill when I ran for county executive, I said, Bill, we're going to change the face of county government. We're going to have it reflect the people of this county. And I jokingly used to say to him, I call it the Bill Clay Initiative. And it really was. It has become that to me because it is really about not only just, I believe you got to find the best talent and qualified people, but you have to have people look up and say within their community, you know, we can strive to be here. We can do this based on our merit. You know, one thing I learned in the military over 20-some years ago, you know, it wasn't about skin color. You know, we didn't see black, orange, red. We're all one. Military got it right. Not until 1950s. During the Korean War did they really integrate the troops. But from 1950 on, we got it right. But still need to do more, and we still need to do more. It's not over with. I heard a lot of people, and I came out in support of President Obama when he first ran. And it was kind of a hard thing because everyone here was with Hillary and we're going on. And I got to know him over the internet. A friend of mine who lived outside the state said, hey, listen to this guy. Don't look him up. Just listen to him. And I listened to him, and I'm like, wow. He goes, who's he remind you? I go, Robert F. Kennedy. Who is he? Some senator from Chicago. And I was shocked when he sent me his picture. And I'm like, wow. And I go, this guy, and he had pictures going, or video of him out at malls and the movement that was happening behind it. And I said, this gentleman's taken off. He is going to be the next president. But we still need to do a lot more, not here just in county government, but around the state of New York. And I have taken pride in a lot of the new appointments I made over the years. And our new affirmative action gentleman, Ainsley Thomas, who, you know, he said, what's your vision? I said, not just commissioners and deputy commissioners, mid-management. We need to set the bar and keep going. And he's not afraid to push back, which is great. You know, when he doesn't like something or he wants to see something done, he stands up, and that's what we need. You need a voice in the community. You know, you need people to sit there and say, not just recognize, you know, Martin Luther King or Nelson Mandela, but to recognize the average citizen, what they've done to make quality of life better for their community, for their people. You know, and I'm not, again, trying to overlook these great legends, but I'm trying to look at the person to your left and to your right and saying, look, you made a difference in your community. You had people look up to you and say, hey, look, you can make a difference. We shouldn't be looking up to rock stars or pro football, basketball, whatever sport it may be. You should be looking up to your neighbor and saying, look, if you try hard, you can be successful, you can own your own house, you can raise a family, you can have a nice retirement, and you can have an impact on your community. They're the leaders, the people that go back into their community and say, look, I'm going to make your life better. Or I'm going to try to help you get your first job. Or if we do this differently. That's what I like to leave on Albany County when I leave being county executive, is knowing that I made a difference in the community to reflect the people that we represent fairly. But there's so much more to do. You know, it's not over. The movement's not over. There's so much more things going on. I'd love to stand here and tell you it's all over with, that, you know, people aren't racist or not this or not that. I'd be lying to you. You're going to find it no matter where you go, you know. And I hope 50 years from now it won't be that problem. But it's still, you know, it's just a thing that's installed in generations, and we got to break that. But we can do it by being leaders and looking up to, you know, Martin Luther King or Nelson Mandela and the great leaders around. But looking up to people in your neighborhood, the gentleman down at the end of the street, or, you know, the lady down at the other end of the street, who are leaders in their community, who lead by example day in and day out. May not voice it, but you see it. You know, when they straighten out the kids or they yell at them, tell them to go off the street corner or get to school, you know, or make sure that they got food, or making sure that, you know, they're looked after. When I grew up on 2nd Avenue, I said my neighbors were more to family than me, than my own cousins and family, because you become a community. You know, you take care of each other. And, you know, that's what it's about. It's about taking care of each other. And it's about making sure that when you come to work, you're not discriminated against, or, you know, you have the opportunity to be successful just as everyone else in the room, regardless of your skin color. You know, Bill, I think of you often as I do this job, and will continue. So someday when you raise on the floor, you won't have to say them words that have put a memory in me that, you know, that just your face. It just, I don't need to take a picture of it because I've seen it. You know, and your eyes alone speaks volumes. And I'm happy to stand here and say we are making a difference. We have some great new commissioners we've appointed. We have some mid-management people we have appointed. And, but we're going to continue to do more work, Bill, and work with the legislature and work with the community, you know, because that's what it's about. It's about working with the community and promoting the healthiness and opportunities that are out there in your own community that people tend to forget. So I am honored to be county executive, to be here in front of not just Norma and Bill and Frank Camiso, who's been a good leader in the Democratic caucus, but to everyone in the room, to the future council members that are here from the city of Albany. Working together, there's no I in team, and we can't be successful without helping one another first. Because we can sit there and point the fingers at each other, and we can sit there and cry about why this didn't happen. But if we work together, we can make it happen. And we don't have to worry about how it was done in the past, or you did this and I'm not going to work with you. It's about working for the people. It's about coming together and putting all the politics aside and the egos aside, which I can assure everyone in this room, that's the hardest thing to do, because no one likes to walk in a room and act like they're not the smartest person. You know, but that has to stay at the door, because at the end of the day, we're elected by people to represent them, to make sure that we protect that part of that community, but help them be successful. And we can do it by working together. And the only way it's going to happen is if we work together instead of pointing the finger at each other. Governments do need to come together for the people. But again, Bill Clay, with your initiative that we're running and continue to run in the county, it was a pleasure serving with you for 12 years, and Norma for you especially. And Mert, I know who can't be here right now, is trying to get here. And Lucy McKnight, who is at the NISAC convention, or would be here. They have made a change in the Albany County Legislature. And, you know, it's hard, though. It's hard when you're in a room and you're the minority and you're trying to say, hey, look, we need to make a difference. It's hard because it's easier for people to sit there and be quiet and not fight and just, you know, try to get a little, or make the difference for the people in your community. And you two have led by example. And I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot in 12 years. And I want to thank you for that. So thank you.
Just want to mention two things. One is we do have some of our leaders from the African American community that have been appointed and have been doing a phenomenal job as commissioners or directors. First of all, we have our alternate public defender, chief alternate public defender, Sherri Burkes is with us. We also have our Director of Children, Youth, and Family Services, Gail Gohagan, is with us. Our Commissioner of Human Resources, Evelyn Kinna, is also with us. Our Director of what's become a very important department, which is the Department of Veterans Affairs, Charles Burkes, is with us. And of course, the guy who's running the show, our Affirmative Action Director, Ainsley Thomas. All right, now I want to introduce to you, I always like Don Cornelius, but I'm not going to be able to talk like Don. A gentleman who is going to sing a few songs. He is a former member of the Philadelphia soul singing group, the Delphonics. His name is Freddie Ingleton. He performed in shows that also featured Al Green, the Four Tops, and the Tempting Temptations. I heard somebody introduce him like that once. Freddie Ingleton performed also 70 soul concerts. He appeared on recorded and live albums as a member of the Delphonics. Since 2008, he's been a member of Blue Magic, an American soul group from Philadelphia, as well as a solo performer. He is also a member of the Macedonia Baptist Church Men's Choir in Albany. He wrote and released his first single, Butterfly, in 2011, which was arranged by producer Bert Price. His most recent songs are On the Case, Something About You, Our Love, and God Won't Let You Down. That's his first gospel song. He will be performing on Friday, February 7th, an evening with vocalist Freddie Ingleton and friends. And is that over at Schenectady Community College? That is at Schenectady Community College at the Taylor Auditorium in Schenectady, and that is at 7 o'clock. It's a free show to celebrate African American History Month. Ladies and gentlemen, please say hello to Freddie Ingleton.
How's everybody? I want to take you back to the 60s, all right? You got a smile so bright. You know you could have been a candle. And you so tight. You know you could have been a handle. The way you swept me off my feet. You know you could have been a bro. Oh, when you get right down to it, isn't this moment what it's all about? Yeah. When you get right down to it, don't you just feel the moment inside? Everything holding you, touching you. Girl, I need a whole lifetime to do all the things that I wanna do. Sing, help me out, y'all. All I know is sound really good. One more time.
We have a county legislator, Bill Clay, who has served on the legislature for a couple terms now, has given us an awful lot of direction when it comes to the issue of diversity and the issue of making Albany County making our employees look like the face of the county, and the fact that the fabric of Albany County is made up of a lot of different patches, and one very important patch is the African American community. So Bill, if you would come up and read a resolution that you have from the Albany County Legislature.
This proclamation is a proclamation of the Albany County Legislature, whereas 100 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, on August 28, 1963, Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. and others organized hundreds of thousands of blacks and whites, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, in a march to the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., where Dr. King made his famous "I Have a Dream" speech announcing the days of segregation in the United States were numbered, and whereas Dr. King and the Civil Rights Movement have changed public policy from legal and socially acceptable discrimination and segregation to an open and accessible policy of racial integration, leading to equal participation and access to primary and higher education, housing, employment, transportation, federal, state, and local government elections, and other aspects of public policy relating to human rights. And whereas these public policies changed at the national level, influenced many changes that culminated in the passage of the Civil Rights Act and open enrollment and access to higher education and employment. The labor laws, transportation policy, election laws, and so many other aspects of public policy. And whereas the unfinished business of Dr. King and the civil rights movement was and still is the plight of the poor, the fight against war and for worldwide peace, and the struggle for a fair, equitable, and sensible economic system, and whereas Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. fought to change public policy from self-inflicted wound of segregation to the pluralistic, diverse democracy which we continue to construct today. And whereas Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the Civil Rights Act has not only changed our nation, but has changed the world, and served as a model for principled leadership and forward-thinking bipartisan public policy, now there be it resolved that the Albany County Legislature acknowledge that by serving one's country, one's community, and one's neighbor, we can make daily progress in civility, equality, and unity, consistent with the values and life work of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And be it further resolved that on behalf of the Albany County Legislature and all of the citizens of the county, I hereby declare the month of February to be recognized as African American Month, Civil Rights, and then now in Albany County. And with that, I am pleased to present this to Ainsley. Again, that's my part in the program.
So we want to thank everybody for being here. Thank everybody that is here to recognize not only African Americans, but also Albany County and the job that all of us do. Freddie, are you ready?
Life begins like a butterfly. You begin to grow and grow and grow. Moving here and there, everywhere. Touched by love. So see the butterfly. See the butterfly. Just see the butterfly. Thank you. Life begins so soon. You have to struggle to be free, and you wonder why. God will spread your wings so you can fly. Then you'll fly. So see the butterfly.